Lawmakers from both parties in Congress are officially pushing to ban mid-decade redistricting nationwide. Thanks for joining us at 4. I'm Lisa Gonzalez.
And I'm Curtis Ming. This is a big issue for several states, including California, looking to redraw their congressional maps mid-decade. KCRA 3 Political Director Ashley Zavala explains what both sides are saying.
Well, and officially both sides are making it clear they would like to formalize a proposal to stop this from happening immediately. Today, California's Democratic U.S. Senator Alex Padilla unveiled the Redistricting Reform Act of 2025, which would not only ban mid-decade redistricting nationwide, but also require all states across the country to have independent redistricting commissions to do their maps, much like we do here in California. It comes after Republican Representative Kevin Kiley, also from California, filed a similar proposal earlier this summer that's apparently stalling in the U.S. House of Representatives. Padilla announced this latest push surrounded by Democrats today. Here's what he had to say.
The measure would ban mid-decade redistricting immediately because no one should be able to rewrite the rules in the middle of the cycle. And it would return to nonpartisan, independent commissions drawing the lines. Because as we've said before, we'll say again, it should be voters choosing the representatives, not the other way around. Now, we're more than happy to meet Republicans on a level playing field every election and competing on ideas and policies and proposed solutions, not competing on who can rig the rules more than the other.
But Democrats don't have much power in Washington, D.C. right now. Republicans control all branches of the federal government. So today, I asked Representative Kevin Kiley, a Republican, about the status of his proposal and if there's been any movement with House Speaker Mike Johnson on this. Kiley ended up calling out the speaker. Take a listen.
The speaker has not brought it to the floor yet. I continue to urge him to do so. Sometimes the way these things work in D.C. is that there's no movement, and there's no movement until there is movement. So I'm continuing to use every tool I have available to advocate for this as what's in the best interest of the country and what's in the best interest of the House. And I will tell you that I have people come up to me every single day in the House and saying, thank you for what you're doing. This is exactly what we need. All of these states that you're hearing about that are going to go through redistricting next, supposedly Indiana, Maryland, Missouri, Florida, their members do not want this. Not the Republicans, not the Democrats. They don't want to upend their entire district. All of a sudden have communities they've been representing for years tossed out, have new communities that they're not familiar with worked in. It's so bad for democracy. It's so bad for representative government. It's so bad for the institution of the House. And so that's why I think it is really unacceptable that the speaker has allowed this to happen, has not even spoken out against it, has actually cheered it along in some ways. It's certainly not standing up for what the members of the House want and what people across America want.
Now, Kiley did not get specific with any of the names of those representatives that have come up to him to thank him for pushing for this. I have reached out to Speaker Mike Johnson for comment or response to what Kiley has said. Still waiting to hear back at this point.
Such an interesting dynamic here. Of course, Kiley could lose his seat if redistricting goes through in California. So you have a Republican, Kiley, thinking one way. You have Padilla, Democrat, thinking the same way. So why wasn't Kiley at his news conference today?
Yeah, actually, Kiley was asked about this at his virtual weekly press conference today. Padilla actually apparently told reporters that he did invite Kiley to today's event, but Kiley said that didn't happen. At the end of the day, though, we should note Kevin Kiley did say that he generally supports what Padilla is proposing. It's just, I think, potentially the issue here in California specifically is Padilla is in favor of Proposition 50, which is asking voters to approve the Democratic gerrymandered maps here, whereas Kevin Kiley, who is, as you mentioned, the target of those maps, is not supportive of Prop 50.
So Padilla is supporting the proposition, but he is against this on a federal level, banning it across all the states.
They are, yes. Kiley and Padilla, Republicans and Democrats in California, overall, they generally agree that this mid-decade redistricting thing could immediately stop, and it should, from their perspectives.
All right. Thank you, Ashley.